Holy crap. What a week it has
been.
Welcome to the 10th episode.
10th episode
of the Small YouTube Channels Talk Podcast.
It's already been 10 weeks.
That's crazy.
That's insane. That's like over 3 months.
Is it? Almost 3 months, I want to say. It's over 3 months.
There's like 4 months in it.
That's 4 weeks in it. It jumps between 3 weeks and 4 weeks.
Right.
Sometimes it's even 5 weeks.
Sometimes 5. You just never know. We have not been doing this that long. It was like December when we started.
Was it? I think it was beginning of December, maybe.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
This has been so fun doing this podcast.
This is awesome.
We have some special surprises for you guys because with it being the 10th episode, halfway through the first season, we're gonna do a little bit of a discount on the merch, even though no one ever buys the merch.
But they will after listening to this crazy deal.
That's right, because you know what, guys, this never seen before. 10% off. You can get 10% off.
Wow.
If you go to teespring.com/stores/Anderson-visuals-official. If you go to our YouTube channel, there's a link. And you can get the small YouTube channels talk sweatshirt, shirt, crew neck, long sleeve shirt,
jock strap.
That's right. If you use the code small10 because it's the 10th episode, you get 10% off. So
that's awesome.
Hey, go for
free
it.
money.
Free money. We'll post the link on our Facebook page too when this comes out.
So go buy it. Roll the intro.
Warning, the following pre-recorded podcast will blow your mind. Broadcasting to Anchor, YouTube, Spotify, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. Recorded in Cole's parents' basement. This is Small YouTube Channels Talk.
Welcome to the Small YouTube Channels
Talk Podcast. I am Jack Xavier Unruh.
I am Cole James Amadeus Anderson.
That is not my name.
Oh, that's Connor's.
It's a funny joke because that's not our names.
That's goofy.
We actually switched names, except Amadeus is not in my name.
No.
At all.
That is Connor Scott Amadeus Jertson's name.
Oh, that's his
really name. If you're an avid follower of the Cheese Puffs, you've seen Con before in many such projects.
As Saxophone Battle Royale.
As well as Anderson Visuals.
That's right.
He was in The Church.
School of Anarchy. Classic. I think that's it.
They're going to do this whole episode on Connor Jertson.
So we've been some crazy stuff. So since last episode, we actually jumped on another episode of Late Night Boomin'.
Yep.
And we've been running into so many more problems.
Oh my goodness, you guys. There's trying to pull off a live act is a beast.
Yeah, especially a week before it too.
Oh.
We really jumped it on us. A couple people, because and we don't blame these people, but a couple people had to drop out on us. Yeah, which is unfortunate. Puts us in a really rough spot.
Yeah, but we'll get through it.
Like
we always do.
We always do.
It's gonna be a great second show.
Second show is gonna be awesome.
Yes,
I have really high hopes for the third show, especially.
Third show is gonna be great
with what we're going through.
Oh, for sure.
And then also, should we talk about the?
Let's talk about
it. So me and Jack, do you want to talk? You talk about it.
So
I
have been talking. So this guy who we met through Late Night Boomin' named Mitchell Olsen.
He actually was with Sean Cable when Sean Cable was a guest.
Yes.
It was like his little
on like episode 1 of Late Night Boomin'.
Right.
He was kind of like his agent.
His entourage.
Yes. And so Mitchell sent me this message a few days.
And for a little context, Mitchell Olsen was on the first season of Survivor.
He's on Survivor.
Yeah.
He was on Wheel of Fortune.
Which at that time, Survivor, when I first began, was huge.
Yeah.
Absolutely huge.
Oh, it was massive.
Yeah.
He's on that. He's on Wheel of Fortune. He was on Price is Right. He was on David Letterman, Hollywood Squares. He's been on all sorts of crazy stuff. So he wanted to start a reality show.
Because he knows this business in Sioux Falls.
Yeah.
That's absolutely insane.
Yeah, they say it's crazy. And so apparently they've tried starting this with this guy.
They made a sizzle reel before.
Yeah.
With someone.
And the Weinstein Productions Steve Harvey's producer were interested in picking the show up, but it never got continued because the guy that started it moved to LA.
Right. He got picked up for other stuff.
Yeah.
So they came to us with the opportunity to shoot it, which this whole situation has honestly been insane, even thinking about it.
Yeah.
Okay, so to be 19, are you 19? You're 18, right?
You're just turned 19.
You just turned 19. That's right, because your birthday recently passed.
Yes.
So to be 19, to be offered to film a reality TV show.
Reality bleeding.
Reality bleeding. No, so to be able to do that, my friend was like I was telling her about it. She goes, wouldn't it be insane if you got your break into the TV and film industry at 19 years old?
That'd be awesome.
Unprecedented.
I mean,
that'd be insane.
We ain't even halfway to how old yet?
I'm not even a fifth. Or through, actually, I would be a fifth this year. But I'm not even like a fourth. I'm not even 25. I'm not even old enough to drink.
No, we're barely old enough to vote.
Yeah, barely.
We're not old enough to smoke cigs anymore.
Yeah, what the hell?
Yeah.
Literally last year, I was addicted to vaping. I quit right before it switched. Thank God that I did.
Now,
if I was still addicted, I'd be screwed.
Yeah.
Because
good thing you quit.
Yeah, honestly.
Does it feel good?
It does feel good. Like let's be real. It does look cool as hell.
It does.
But it's not something that I'd want to trade. 40 years, we're going to find out what kind of cancers and stuff you get from it. So the fact that I only did it for, I want to say 2 years, probably better than if I do it for the rest of my life.
For sure.
So, but yeah, that's crazy that we've been given the blessing to do that opportunity.
Exactly. I just hope that this is something that has one of these three outcomes. One, I'll be fine with it if we learn. I don't care if it succeeds or fails as long as we learn things from it. Two, if it succeeds.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Well, even if it fails.
As long as we learn.
That's right.
I'm fine.
Right.
And I think we will,
Yeah.
I just hope it's just not like this messy situation where
I would hate that.
It's just like, it's not fun. We're like super busy. It's just weird.
Yeah. Ideally, it'd be. What's the third outcome?
The third outcome I'd be fine with is if this leads to something else.
Yeah. Yeah. Like even if it fails and it can bring on some other opportunity.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. For sure. Because I've just crunching numbers, or even just like, even if and I hope that we can even complete a pilot, even if it doesn't get picked up, if we can complete a pilot that looks great on a resume for us for like filming and stuff like that.
Exactly.
So even if it fails, there's so much that we could learn from it. Like you were talking about, there's also so many opportunities that could come from that. Like you're saying, third outcome. And if it does succeed, because it's very possible that it could succeed and they could go for a different camera crew with, we're going to be asking for residuals if it does get picked up. With residuals, we could use that to fund future projects.
That'd be great.
Or maybe we could get picked up for something else.
That'd be sick.
And then if they choose to keep us, hey, that's a full-time job doing what we love.
Exactly.
Yeah. Would you drop out of college if it got picked up and then all of a sudden there was like a bunch of interest in you and someone wanted to
do this show?
Well, I would say more like, okay, so the show gets picked up.
Sure.
Okay. And your talent is seen in Hollywood somewhere. And they're like, hey, I have this movie. I want you to direct it. Or maybe like hey, here's $20,000, make a film and we'll distribute it. Would you drop out of USF and just do it?
Wow. Okay, what I would do is I want to get, oh my goodness,
it's like super hypothetical.
No, yeah, but like, obviously there's no way I wouldn't take that deal.
Right.
So what I'd have to do is figure out a way to make college work still.
Would you take like a leap year or something like that? Can you do that in
I don't
college?
know.
See, if I was going to STI, which I'm no longer am, and I got that opportunity, 100%, I would drop out of college and I would just go for it. And I'd just say, fuck it. And I would just jump on it because, you don't get many opportunities like that.
Oh, for sure.
And if that was suddenly presented to me, I'd be like, this has got to be fate. Right.
And that's something too. Like, I don't know, because like I do want to have all my bases covered and stuff.
Right. I'm the same way.
But
also you got to take risks.
But you do got to take gambles. And so.
Because what if you decide not to do it and stay in college and then you screw yourself over?
Yeah.
And then, you never get like another thing. That's like another thing that I'm like worried about is I don't have all my bases covered. What if I make a big break? I'm only good for 20 years and then I run out of money, Something like that would suck.
Yeah, it's all about being wise.
It is. That's why I've been thinking lately about going back to school possibly. If this goes in a really, really, really good direction, then I'm just going to say screw it and I'm just going to keep going.
Sure.
But if I still feel like I need a degree next year, I'm going to go back to school. For sure. I think I'm going to go back and get my, I definitely think it's just better for me to get 2 associates with the things that I was doing.
And I think I'm super excited for the films.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think, honestly,
those are also really big opportunities.
Get
into some film festivals.
Yeah. And even if we don't like win every film festival, the recognition's what it's all about.
Right. Yeah. Those let alone could also just bring upon.
Are you allowed to pitch movies? Like you can pitch a pilot episode. Are you allowed to pitch movies to anyone? Like if you've made a movie?
I think you have to have like some sort of agent or something.
Oh, really?
Someone to connect to those types of people. Also, you usually have to have some sort of, we'll use the word clout. You have to be famous in some sort of way.
It's not about what you know, it's about who you know.
That's true. It is true. Because if someone from the Weinstein production company sees, let's say One Bad Day, the short film that I'm going to make for Reality Bleeding, and they're like, hey, this has a lot of character. I want to meet with Cole because they say they know me from the reality show. They'd be like, okay, yeah, okay. I pitched them the idea, and they're like, sure. All right, here's $50,000. Make that movie. Don't go over the budget, and we'll distribute it for you. I would fucking lose it.
That would be awesome. So, in that situation, would you feel pressure?
Well, of course. But I think I would handle it really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
just because I feel like that's something that, it's like more money than I'm used to, but I feel like with that much money, there's so much I could do.
Do you feel that, like, in any part of your mind, like, you've been given this great opportunity? Because these are things that I would worry about. Would you ever feel like you've been given this big opportunity? What if you screw it up? And then it makes you kind of, like, anxious about it?
Screwed up in, like, what way?
Like, so, okay, say you get this shot, and I'm just going to give a wild example. A very wild example. Say we're just doing our thing, and then Tom Cruise is Bad Robot industry or whatever. They're like, hey, you guys, we're going to give you a shot here. Sure. So you get creative kids. Going to give you a shot here. We'll give you $30,000. Go out, make a movie, and we'll see how it is. What would you feel?
Yeah, for sure. I'd feel immense pressure. But I also feel like with the right team, if I surrounded myself with the right people, I would be able to pull it off. It's like I feel like if I did that, I would the feeling would be similar to when we premiered Slick Trigger. Fuck. Talking about Slick Trigger.
There it is.
Again.
10 episodes straight.
10 episodes straight. God damn it. But it is similar to that because when we premiered Slick, like you said, I think you talked about in the interview that you did for the behind the scenes, you got a call from Coach Fechner, was it?
Yeah.
And he was like, "Are you nervous?" And you're like, "Yeah." But he was like, "Is it like what kind of nervous was it?"
He's like, "Are you nervous?" because you're not prepared, or are you nervous for the event? And I was like,
nervous for the
event. And he's like, then you're ready.
Right. Because it wasn't about your thoughts on the final product. It was just about the overall, right? Because if I knew that I made a good story and I knew that I made a good film, that's not going to be subconsciously what I'm worried about.
Sure.
Of course, I'm always going to think about those tiny things, but like overall, I wasn't worried about the overall of Slick Trigger. I was worried about the tiny stuff.
Right, yeah.
Because overall, Slick Trigger is a fantastic film, but those tiny things are what I worry about.
Yeah, and that's one thing I'm worried about, like with my film, like that I'm working on now. Is like I have this vision for it, and execution is the part that's killer because, like, you know, my vision for Slick Trigger. I mean, obviously, I couldn't have asked for a better outcome. You know, all the people that came together to help work on it, and it was just awesome.
Right. There's honestly no way it could have been better.
Yeah. But when you look at like the technical side of things and like.
But that's the side of like, you know, at that point, we were very, very amateur.
For sure.
We were hard learning.
Yeah.
And we still are learning, but we're at a much more professional kind of place.
We're not as good as we're gonna get, but we're better than we're used to be.
That's what matters too.
Yeah.
Because the fact that we know we need to pay more attention to audio is going to help with these future films.
And it's good because we're learning and we're. It really helps with efficiency too. And honestly, though, I think with these next films, what we do is we take our time and make sure it comes out right.
Absolutely.
And, you know, like I just went yesterday to my mom's work, picked up some storyboards.
Oh, you're going to start
like those paper things?
Sure.
Because I want to have everything planned out like we did last time. Here's a pro tip for you guerrilla filmmakers out there.
For you budding filmmakers.
Yes, budding filmmakers. Always storyboard
if you're gonna make a movie. Shit out of your
goodness.
fucking scenes.
Why don't you tell everybody the difference between when we storyboarded and when we didn't storyboard?
Okay, so here's the deal, guys. It's not even about storyboarding. It's about planning. Okay, this is about straight out planning. Ideally, okay, write your script. Make sure that story is as strong as it can be. Otherwise, the movie's gonna suffer no matter how well it's shot.
Fact.
So make that story as good as it can be. Get the proper equipment that you can. Ideally, you need some decent sound equipment and a camera that can shoot at least 1080. Next, you need to storyboard the shit out of that because you want to know what you're shooting so that when you get on set, you're efficient and everything looks clean.
Oh my goodness. And I tell you, like, so at the beginning, before we storyboarded, it'd literally be we're reading off the script and like, oh, how do we want to do this?
Right.
And we're just going off the script notes. If you storyboard, you have every shot written down. You know exactly the shots you need to take, and it helps everyone so much.
Ready. Literally on set. Okay, let's go. Boom.
Yeah, like, okay, we have 3 more shots to get.
Right.
Easy, as opposed to, well, we can do this in, you know, maybe 4 or 5 years.
Right. Or should we do this? Should we do this angle?
Yeah. You already have that planned out, and it's great.
Right. And you can also, it's also a lot easier to remember because you can get like a shot list and you can like cross them off as you're doing them because there's so many times just the way that we were shooting Slick Trigger where we'd be like, did we get that? I can't remember. Yeah, we did, but the footage doesn't look right. Oh, we should do it again. But if you have like a shot list, you're going to remember when it's bad, you know, because you're doing like an order and you're going to write that shit down and you're going to be organized.
Exactly.
And that was like, honestly, our biggest downfall with Slick Trigger when we were not planning far enough ahead, it hurt us.
Yeah.
And when we did storyboard, the production went so much faster.
Well, I mean, you look at the time, like when you guys watched the interview, I talked about that day when we spent 8 hours in that sweaty building with all of us, and we didn't have any shot list. Then again, that was one of the very first days on set.
That was all, yeah.
Yeah. And so then we did another scene. It was I believe it was the interrogation scene was all planned out. On a storyboard. Yep. And I mean, that was bada bing, bada boom.
I don't think we had to reshoot a single thing of that.
No. And it helps so much because you got your shots. Also, we got to take a lot of time, like reviewing every shot, making sure it looks proper and how we want it. Because the last thing we want with these films is to have to go back and reshoot a bunch of crap.
And start editing your film when you're shooting it. As soon as you have a scene done, start editing it.
For sure.
I was not a fan of. I thought that truly, I did think that like, why are you editing this? Like, we don't, like, there's no point. We don't have everything done. But then, as I saw, you build the movie. That was a really fast way for you to figure out, oh, we got to get this. We got to get a drone here. We got to reshoot this.
Oh, yeah.
Edit your film while you're shooting it, or at least have an editor edit it. Even if you're not good at editing, find someone to help you.
Yeah.
Learn the basics.
Yeah.
Because then you're going to learn a lot faster, and it will speed up production.
For sure.
Because doing that helped us figure out, we're going out today. We got to get this scene, and we got to get a drone shot because we need that. Or we need a wide here or something like that.
Yeah. And this is some advice that I heard. I don't remember where I heard it from, but I heard somebody said, don't let something that you might not be as good at stop you from doing something you love. So if there's an aspect of filmmaking that like for me, it's like the technical side of things that I suck at. And it's like, don't let something like that stop you from pursuing that. You know what I mean? Like just do it. Because
Jack here is the king of story.
Well, trying.
Well, you definitely are better at story than I think am. And I think that is a factor that I'm learning a lot about, because I always focused on the technical side. That's why I never made anything. That's why I have so few projects and videos under my belt that I actually took seriously and stuff. Mainly because I was always worried about camera resolution and frame rates and shutter speed and lighting and sound and all this, when I should have just been making films, and you being the person who's like, oh, I have this story I want to tell, I'm just going to shoot it. And then
turns out like crap.
Sometimes it turns out like crap, but the fact that you had a story that helps it so much, and then it's helped us grow too, because you're helping me with story and I'm helping you with the technical side.
Like, I mean, on set, I can't tell you how much I've learned from you. Like, all right, so this is what your ISO does, and this is how you can make this shot. Because honestly, the technical side is a whole nother piece to it, because that's how you want the feel for the scene to be, how you want the shot to look, the technical side of things. And that's why having you on set is so good, because it's if I tell you how, you just know how to work that, and you teach me all that stuff, and it's super awesome.
And I like me writing my own story has definitely, and watching you write your own stuff, it definitely helped me become better at building a better story, because I've been trying to watch films with more of an analytical viewpoint, and I've always watched it from that kind of angle since I am a filmmaker, and I love movies like that. But the more that I try to think about it while I watch it, the more I realize stuff about myself and my films, because I was reading Robert's feature film script for something that he did for a college class. He had to write a full feature film script, and I was like, the first 40 pages just seemed really bland, and I realized, because the character isn't really the character doesn't really want anything, right? And in stories, pretty obvious, you got to have the character to want something, otherwise the characters are just going to feel empty. And when I realized that, I was like, oh, so sometimes that's why videos feel they're kind of trash, or Highway 46. I kind of realized halfway through shooting, I was like, oh, the wants aren't expressed enough, they're not obvious enough, and it kind of feels empty. It doesn't feel like anything's happening for,
because you don't know what the goal is.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And the more that I figured out about that, and I'm very analytical, reading your script, near perfect script, I learned so much about
well, you and Trev helped me perfect that,
of course,
because
we're more of the fixing grammatical issues, trying to figure out would this fit. Overall, though, 95% of that film was perfect before we even touched it.
Well, mucho gusto. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Seeing that, because the original Slick Trigger story before the film, I think that's why I want to remake it, and but in some sort of different way, because that original story has so many different outcomes. You could those characters are so deep, and you were literally 14 when you and you didn't even write like an actual script. You just wrote like, okay, this episode this happens, this episode. But the way that like it was executed was so well done for our age. You could tell the goals of each character, and like each character felt like there was genuine depth there, and the character development was honestly really, really good
somehow.
So then I think about like, if I wanted to like extend that with what you've built, if I just took that and I modified it, I could make 4 films about one before, 2 movies about during, just rewritten, and then 3 about what happened after.
But no, that's not all me, because with the crew, with the squad that we have, you, Ed, Ron, Con, Dill, me. I mean,
Trev.
I mean, that's just like, we create this stuff as we go.
Yeah.
And I mean, let's take a look at the original Slick Trigger series. I mean, so 14 years old, 15 years old, and we're making this thing where each episode we just have bullet points.
Yep.
Like when I was writing the thing, I was just like, all right, this episode they rob the bank, and then they go back to the police station, they get into a fight, it's just stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then we'd figure out how to fill that in on set. So, and that goes to you, I mean, for developing the character of Robbie. That goes to Ron for developing the character of Carl.
Right.
And that just... I think
that was 50% you for even writing characters that are given depth, because then it goes to the actor to fill that in. But the fact that you can even immediately, the fact that you were able to build that and give that to us to have us build on is insane.
So that's the thing I was thinking about lately, is I was watching a video. Thank you, by the way. It's very kind of you. I was watching the Actors Roundtable. There's a bunch of really popular actors at it, and Adam Driver was talking about Marriage Story. He was talking about characters and stuff, and he said, okay, so what he said was, because he was talking about, like, the question was, how do you, like, portray your emotions in a film, and how are you so good at letting the audience know, like, feel with you and stuff like that.
Right.
And he said, well, that's in the script. And that kind of shocked me. I was like, wait, what? I thought that was like the actor's. And he's like, yes, it's the actor's job, but the script has to bring you there.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And in a good script, it's easy for the actors to get there, And so I tried, when I was writing Shoreline, I was like, you know what? I can work on this. This is something I can work on. What would be interesting, and something that Eddie told me, he's like, Jack, we need to make this film like Tarantino's films, dialogue. Focus on dialogue, because this isn't as action-packed as Slick Trigger.
Right.
Focus on dialogue. He said...
My film is very similar that I'm writing to. A lot of it's dialogue.
Yeah.
Dialogue.
And the main point that I had in mind that Eddie told me was, every line needs to be interesting.
Yeah. And it needs to matter.
Every line needs to matter, and you need to be... It's like when you're drinking a glass of water and you're not quite satisfied from your thirst yet, you just keep wanting more until the movie's done.
Right.
And even then you want
That's
more.
a great way of describing that.
And every line you're like, what's going to happen next? Every single line. And you have to, like, that's why I was pushing so hard, like going over it with you and Eddie and Trev. Like, I want to make sure that everything keeps you watching the movie.
Everything makes sense, and it holds you to the end of the film.
For sure.
Yeah. And with my film, I was doing this weird thing where, so I inserted the first 15 pages, which is the short film. So that was already written for me. And I was like, okay, I want to crack 30 really, really soon. And I wrote about 5 scenes, and I hadn't even cracked 25. And I was like, something feels bland about this. And I went in and I was like, trying to figure, the more I thought about it, I could like add more purpose to each scene. I was thinking about like, okay, well, these 2 characters should fight, and then I can use that later in the film. And then well, this character is supposed to bring this character to do this, and then these 2 are supposed to have a relationship. And I'm constantly building on stuff, and I was always like, a scene might be half a page long. By the time I was done with it, it was 2 pages long, which I just kept building on it. And honestly, like, I don't know why, but that just worked really well for me to start at the beginning, right at the end, and then just build in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
I probably rewrote one scene 3 times because I was like, oh, I want to do this. Actually, I'm going to make this that person's son. Actually, I'm going to gender bend them and now they're a woman. And then that adds even more. Like, I'm constantly trying to find a way to add conflict that builds the characters, you know?
Yeah. Something that, and you know, that's it too, is like, it's so much, and it's so satisfying. I know we've talked about this on the show before, but it's like the more, because you always feel like when you're writing, okay, I was talking about this with Jacob the other day. Weird example.
Knopf?
Yeah, Jacob Knopf, co-host
Shout
of
out.
Late Night Boomin'.
He's pretty cool. He's awesome.
He's a cool guy.
He's a cool guy.
It's gonna be weird at first, but it'll all tie in.
Sure.
So we were talking about, he's like playing NBA 2K, and I was like, okay, why do you like this game? What's so fun about this game to you? And he's like, you know, each game you play, you build your team, and your team keeps getting better as you go. Like, he likes Fortnite. Don't get me wrong, we love Fortnite, but he's like, Fortnite, you know, it's good, but what the game you play now does not affect the next game. Right. No game affects the next. You're never getting better. But with 2K, every game feels like you're building to something. Same thing when you're writing a story. It always feels like you're getting somewhere.
Better, yeah.
You know what I mean? And like, I mean, whether it be the story is getting better or you're getting better as a story writer, your world is constantly being built. And like, that's really cool to hear you say, like, you're always like working on this stuff and like putting things around. Like, that's super cool. Like, it's so satisfying to see it all tying together. You know what I mean?
First script I ever wrote was Practically Dead Already, episode 1, which never ever came to fruition. But I wrote six full episodes for like a season that I wanted to make of like a zombie apocalypse. Of course, I was really young. The production value would have been insane. But that was the first script that I wrote. And that was enough to make me realize that I liked, because for the longest time I was like, I want to be a director, you know? And I don't want to make my own stories, blah blah. I want to direct other people's stories. And then you get a couple ideas in your head and you can't help but build on those, and then you're like, oh, well, maybe I will write one.
Yeah.
And then 5 years later, you've worked on so many projects, and all that were yours or that were your friends that you're constantly building. It just feels like I would have never learned about that if I didn't, you know, want to make like my own version of The Walking Dead. And that was the original Practically Dead Already. That's what School of Anarchy was about. It was about my own version of Breaking Bad, you know? And Reality Bleeding is my own version of multiple different films that I love,
right?
You know, and Shoreline for you is multiple films that you love. It's being a filmmaker is really all about your own take on shit that you've seen. We're always stealing.
Yeah,
we're always
stealing. The top of the top are stealing.
Yeah, Quentin Tarantino has stolen so much stuff, but he does it so stylistically. It's not like stealing. It's more of a stylistic homage.
Yeah, it's like it's your own take on something. Like the new Joker movie. It's their take on the Joker.
That's exactly. You know? Perfect example. If I were to do a quadrilogy of Slick Trigger, you know, of the way that I'd want to tell it, that's just my take on your original story, you know?
Which is like, I mean, honestly, I had an idea. I still have this idea written down in my notebook, inspired by School of Anarchy.
Really?
Yeah, okay, I took two ideas, School of Anarchy and The Godfather.
Sure.
And I combined them, and I had this idea it's like fourth graders, but it's like...
You told me about this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or not fourth. It was like super, like little kids, like really young kids. Like The Godfather.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they're like smuggling candy throughout the school or something.
I love that. It's like simple stuff like that, you know?
Yeah. That just can, if you build on it, it becomes something huge. You know what I mean?
That's right. Yeah. I saw literally today, I saw a TikTok that gave me a movie idea. And this is kind of like a thing that has kind of been built on before, but like, imagine everyone disappears except one person, right? Mm-hmm. And it's kind of like a trope that like, oh, someone's alone and then they find someone and then they run into something and blah blah blah. But I was thinking like a perfect prequel/sequel to Reality Bleeding. Someone wakes up one morning and everyone's gone, and it isn't revealed until the end that they've actually been in like the thing the entire time.
They haven't? Do they have?
They were, or like they were in the thing the entire time, and that's why there was literally like no one anywhere.
Really?
Yeah, like
It's like everybody died?
Not like everybody died, like everyone just literally vanished out of thin air.
Really?
Yeah, and I think that'd be like really cool, just like walking empty street lights on, house light. You're like, you go across the country trying to find someone, and literally no one. Like you run into more like dogs, and you hear something in the house. You're like, oh shit, that could be a person. You go in, and it's like a couple cats. Just like got into the food bag or something, or they're like fucking eating each other or something. And it's like the amount of depressive, like it'd be so sad, but what you could build on that would be so cool. And then with Practically Dead already, I had an idea where like I was like, okay, classic zombie apocalypse, the entire world. And I was like, whoa, hold up. What if it's not the entire world and the characters think that it's the entire world? And like something was like a virus was dropped in the middle of a couple states, and they fenced those states off, and they're surrounded by the army to kind of just test, do some control the population a little bit. So then they get to one of the edges, and they find this out, and they break out, and then they go to like the White House or something, and they overthrow the government. That is like another idea that I have. Wow. Which would really, from season to season, like say season 3, they're like fighting zombies. They find this edge, they get out, boom, all of a sudden it's like not zombies anymore. And it's like really, it'd be this really interesting dynamic, Yeah,
yeah.
I'm always thinking of ideas.
Oh, yeah.
Daddy ate my eyes.
Daddy ate my eyes, for example. Classic.
But yeah, that's I don't know. I just have so many films that I'd like to make.
As
so many
filmmakers,
series.
we always got to be thinking.
That's right. If I wanted to have decided that I wanted to do that, I wouldn't have discovered all these fantastic ideas.
I don't know what you think about this. So this is my tactic for movie making.
Sure.
I did it during Slick Trigger, and I'm trying to do it now, but for Shoreline. But like obviously I'll get inspired for like other movie ideas. So obviously like I'll write those down and stuff.
I'm scared of where this is gonna go.
But I will never expand upon those ideas like too much. Never like put actually too much work into them until I'm done with the project I'm working on.
What do you mean?
So okay, so I have an idea for Gorilla the movie.
Right.
Okay. I'm not going to do anything with that. Obviously, I'll think about it and stuff, but I'm not going to do anything more than that until Shoreline is done, because I want to completely submerge myself into this world that I've created, and I don't want any other distractions playing any part in that.
Completely the same. I'm completely the same. That's the one thing that I'm almost a little bit worried about with the reality show is that I'll fall out of my focus,
Yeah.
And also, that's another thing. I really hope that we can film like your film and then my film, or my film and then your film, because otherwise, if we're filming each other's films,
it's gonna take us out of the world.
Yeah, it's gonna, like, if we could do, my film from like what is it? May, the month. Nice. Is May the month before June? It is.
Yeah.
So like mid-May to like late June, and then we do yours from July to mid-August. That I feel like that'd be way better than like doing it like, this weekend we're gonna do yours.
No, yeah. You don't. I don't think you want to mix films like that.
Yeah, especially with how different our films are.
Yeah, like you want to be in the mindset of whatever you're doing,
right? Because you're going to be in the director mindset.
Yeah,
and then switch to character. Like you got to be a character, you got to act now. Now you got to do this. Because with your film, I'm going to be your DP the entire time.
Right.
And I'm going to be behind the camera because you're going to be in front of the camera half the time, half the movie. And you're going to rely a lot on me. And I don't want to be focusing on my film if I'm working on your film, because your film should be the focus.
Right. And
the same for you for mine. You
right.
know?
And that's the thing is like, so like I won't. And it's a little different with like Late Night Boomin', because like that's more of like a project kind of thing.
Right.
That, and like, I guess probably the reality show.
I feel like the reality show could go both ways.
Yeah, it could go both ways.
Because we could be, we could get
could get lost in that world trying to figure out those storylines,
or it could just become like a everyday job.
Yeah, and it works itself out,
right?
And yeah, but as far as cinematics go, like films and stuff, I'm keeping myself in the Shoreline world right now.
And I'm trying to keep myself in reality bleeding.
Just submerge yourself. And obviously when we collab, like
of course,
you can set that aside and like I'll just think of reality bleeding, you know. But for sure, like, so I'm glad to hear you're the same way, because I thought I am always thinking of other ideas and stuff like that's just how my brain works. Yeah.
But in terms of
as long as you write them down, you just save it.
What I'm working on.
Yeah.
I'm working on reality bleeding right now. You know, like especially like I will fall asleep every night. As of recent, I just think about the film. And I just think about how scenes I want to happen, and then occasionally I'll come up with an idea, and I'll be almost about to fall asleep, and I'll be like, shit, I'm going to forget about this, but I don't write it down. So I get up and I turn on the light, and I fucking piss myself off, and I write it down so I don't forget about it.
Yep.
And then I go back to sleep, and then it repeats 2 or 3 more times, and then I fall asleep. But, you know, and I'm not thinking about any other... When I was doing Demons, that's the only thing that I thought about. Was Demons for the longest time.
And I think that helps.
Yeah.
Because the more you can think about your film, the more you get into the details. And, you know, it's like the longer you have, like, water on a towel, the more it's going to soak into it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Weird example, but the more of the fine details you can get into, and you're always thinking about like, oh, because you don't want to get into the filming itself and figure out there's something wrong with the story.
Exactly. That's exactly what happened with Highway 46. Is I was on set, and that's when I discovered that my script was shit. That is not the place you want to discover that your script is shit.
But you learn from it.
Right. And you know, if we would have done and we totally just jumped on that project. There was no preparation. I didn't have storyboards. We didn't do a table read. We didn't even have set actors. We literally like that day we're like, oh, people dropped out. We got to find someone else.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if it was more planned out, I'm sure that thing would have been fucking fine.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but then with other things like 1 minute, that was kind of in the similar vein of like the cheese puffs, where we're like, hey, let's shoot something, but I also want to take it a little bit seriously. So I came in just with an idea, and we basically did the same thing that we do with the Cheese Puffs videos. Mm-hmm. Is we just, you know, shot something. And with your A6400, you know, you talked about like we should do some microfilms, some short films just to get to know it. That is, I don't feel like that's a big enough of a project that's you're really taking your eyes and your mind off of like Shoreline and reality bleeding.
Yeah, and that's
just
thing.
Teaching yourself. That's like a one day sort of, you know, thing.
And that's the thing too that'll especially help with like storyboarding is like I want to do a short film with my A6400 just to get all the kinks out, you know, learn it. Mm-hmm. But I'm gonna finish storyboarding before I do that.
Of course.
Because might even write a script for the short film. I don't know.
Sure. 5 pages.
Yeah. Just nothing big.
Small.
Just something that obviously it's going to be fun to work on.
Right. You could and then you could send it to me and then Trev. We could do our revisions and then boom, final product. We just decide.
Yeah.
That's it.
Just
That's
like a cheese puff video. Just bing, bang, boom. It's out there.
Bing, bang, boom.
And then get right back into, I mean, it'll be a nice little break from Shoreline.
Right.
You know, sometimes you need a break.
Right.
But
still a small enough project where you're not completely taking yourself off of it.
Yeah. Because you don't want to get so far away where you forgot everything you've done.
Exactly.
You know,
that'd be a good exercise to learn the camera because you haven't learned the camera yet.
So yeah, I think that's going to come at just the right time.
And I just, I'm trying to get a job that I'd be working weekends, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, so I can make a little money between like shooting the reality show. And then, you know, if the reality show gets picked up, I'm gonna do that full time. Right. 5 days a week. I'm just gonna go to that place. I'm just gonna shoot because that would just be fun. And of course, you'd probably get there around 3 or 4 or whatever, you know, your school, and then I can just inform you on what I got before.
Exactly.
I would love to do that. That'd be baller ass.
That would be baller.
It'd be so fun to be able to do that. And I'm just super excited for the opportunities that we've been given as of recently. So blessed. Oh. It's absolutely insane how well this year is going, and we're just in February.
Oh my goodness. I think here's the thing about this year so far is like I just feel the potential right now.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Same. Yeah.
It's like we haven't really, like we like Late Night Boobin and we're writing and stuff, but like we haven't really gotten to where we want to be, and we're like in the chamber of a gun right now.
You know what it feels like? The calm before the storm.
Yeah.
Exactly like that.
I just feel so much potential right now.
So much. Yeah. That's exactly what it feels like.
But
I'm super optimistic.
Same way that could go either way.
Right.
You know, that could go great, or every project that we do could suck.
Right.
At the end of the year, though, look how much we'll have learned.
Exactly.
We'll have shot 2 more movies. We'll have done
films.
a live late night show. We'll have done a reality show. We'll have made several short films.
This year's going to be fucking nuts.
It's going to be great.
Yeah. I am honestly, yeah. Because like last year was probably, I think I peaked last year for sure. Because, you know, I think in my life, I peaked at the end of high school with the short film that came out. And then kind of went down. And then it peaked again at Slick Trigger. One of the most fantastic moments of my life, by far. And I'm sure it will be for the rest of my life. And then with the behind the scenes documentary coming out, I feel like that was even more of an accomplishment because it was like my own thing that I accomplished. And now with the reality show and both films and Late Night Boomin', so much more is literally in the palm of our hands.
Yes.
Waiting for us to fucking crush it. Just crush it.
We crush everything we do.
We do. And you know what? I'm happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're gonna bring so much game to the filmmaking world, to Hollywood. Watch out, Hollywood.
You can't teach passion.
Exactly.
You can't.
Watch it. Episode 20, we're gonna be millionaires.
Yeah, it's gonna
End
be.
of the first season, we're gonna be like, wow, guys, what a. But so episode 1, I was broke, and now I'm a millionaire living out in Los Angeles. I actually flew Jack out on my private jet. Jack actually just finished meeting up with the Lakers. Jack, how was that?
Yo, what's up, guys? I got my grills on right now. You know, I just had a meeting. I gotta go meet Posty, so I can't do real long right now.
Yeah.
But I'll catch you later.
All right, guys, that was a podcast.
That's a podcast.
No, yeah, this is like you said, so much opportunity, and even if we fail, there's so much that could come from it.
We don't lose. We either win or learn.
That's right. There's no losing.
Always,
because this is the worst. I think it was the biggest mistake that you can make is, or no, the I'm trying to word this correctly. The best thing you can do is like succeed. The second best thing you can do is lose and learn. The absolute worst thing you can do is not try at all.
yes.
Which we're trying pretty damn hard.
You only lose when you quit.
That's right.
Just look at us, a fountain of motivational quotes right here.
Yeah. And you know, that's I've got, there's a lot of times where I've quit or I've thought about quitting. Highway 46, that project dropped. But sometimes you gotta.
Sometimes you just gotta do it, yeah, and you'll know when.
You know, if unfortunately, I don't think that's gonna that's gonna happen. But you know, even Late Night Boomin' or Reality Bleeding could get to that point where it's like, you know, there's no point, or we've crossed the point of no return, and it's either do or don't.
Yeah,
but I feel like even then we've reached a point where we're learning so much when we even do the tiny things.
Yeah. I mean, and it does not hurt to save it for a rainy day.
Yeah.
Because like Gorilla, we were going to make season 2. We never got around to it. It's not that we didn't want to. It's that we couldn't.
Right.
And we still might. But
the possibility's there.
Yeah.
You know?
Now in my head, I've already been developing Gorilla the movie, you know?
Right.
So like you can always do stuff. I mean, if Highway 46 in the future, you know, 1-2 years later, you just get a spark to add to it, and you're like, whoa, I could turn this into something huge. You just never know. Yeah. So always save your ideas
and just keep building on them.
Yes.
Even if they fail.
Either win or learn.
You either win.
You gotta have that mentality though. You can't have the win or lose mentality.
Exactly. It's either win or learn. Because when you're losing, it's definitely better than quitting and not trying.
For sure.
Which is something that I think that we do pretty good at. We don't quit.
We don't quit.
We haven't quit that many times.
No.
And when we have, we learned from it.
Yeah. And it was for a good reason.
We never really quit just because we had to quit, you know?
We never gave up.
Wanted to.
We'll put it that way. We never gave up.
We quit because
it was the right call.
It was the right call. Yeah. Highway 46, I shot it, and I learned a lot from it, and I decided this doesn't need to go public, you know? And that's enough for me. Now, if I made a full film, that might be a little bit of a different story, but, you know, I don't think that's going to happen with Reality Bleeding. I'm a little worried because Reality Bleeding is my first narrative feature film, because technically the documentary was a feature, but this is something I'm going for film festivals. I'm going full. I'm gonna crush this film.
Yes,
and I don't want to trash. I don't want it to be trash.
It won't be.
I hope so.
As long as your passion's in it.
That's absolutely.
The time right. For an ad break yet?
Actually, no ad break because we're 15 minutes. We're 50 minutes in.
50?
Yeah, we would have done an ad break 20 minutes ago.
Wow, we're just cruising today, aren't we?
Yeah, we're. I figured, you know, give them the free from the ad break.
Ad-free trial.
Ad-free trial.
You guys are welcome. It's literally one 10-second ad.
It's literally not that long. But no, it's crazy what's been handed to us so far.
Yes, the Lord hath been good.
That's right. And you know what? I feel a little unfortunate that I didn't get to document the beginning of this journey. But I should have been doing it with my phone. But I've been starting the documentary because I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to do that passively while I work on other stuff.
Sure.
And then, you know, I think if I find like a weekend free and I have the camera and I have some stuff, I'm going to start doing interviews and stuff. Mm-hmm. But I'm trying to passively get back into it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I think I'm learning a lot about myself.
That'll be... and if you can document that in a cool way, look at the character development. The real life character development. This isn't made up. It'd be real. You know what I mean?
I've had so many ideas for documentaries too. I love documentaries. I would love for you to shoot a documentary with me. I have thought about doing documentaries, but I just don't know if I'd be that. Yeah. Because it's all about I feel like if me and you were to collab on a documentary, it'd be like I don't know. We'd have to find something really interesting. Yeah. Well, if you look at it, this reality show is almost like a documentary. In a way. But yeah, I was thinking more something like short term. Like we go on a week trip somewhere, and we literally stay in like a poor neighborhood, and we just document the hell out of it or something. Or like a missions trip, or the Sioux tribe, like the tribes in South Dakota, go just document the poverty and the struggles that they deal with. There's so many documentaries that you can make. It's insane. There's probably more documentaries that you could make than actual stories that you could come up with because of the amount of people in the world. There's so many. 7 billion. 8 billion now. 8 billion. Yeah. Wow. Not taking an ad break kind of wore me out. We should have taken an ad break. We should. Man. I almost just passed out over here. It's a funny joke because when we take an ad break, we go, "We're gonna go to an ad break. Welcome back." Literally no ad. Yeah, we don't take a break. We don't talk about anything more. We're like, "Let's take an ad break." Welcome back. Listen to the past podcast, and you can tell probably. Yes, it's pretty obvious if you really listen to it, because one of us will start a little bit later or a little bit earlier or something, and you can catch it for sure. But yeah, I guess trying to think. Where can we follow you? Let's see. Late Night Boomin' is returning on Monday. Yep. If you live in the South Dakota area, where can you come see the show? Come see the show at USF at Big Z Hall at 8:00. 8:00. If you can't do that, you can catch it on YouTube. It'll be on YouTube a couple weeks after. Yep. They try to get it out as soon as possible, but he's got school. Yeah. He's a busy boy. Yeah. So yeah, there's that. Cheese Puffs. Dorm Boomin'. The podcast, Instagram, of course. Check out. The podcast is the most. like what's the word? The thing that we do the most often.
Consistent?
I have not. That's the most consistent way to keep up with us. Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Cole James and Anderson Visuals. We'll try to give you guys some updates on, what happens with the movies and the shows and just overall life updates too.
Yep.
Anything happened to you recently that I think we gave all the main life updates.
Yeah.
Shooting a reality show. Not like it's a big deal or anything.
No big deal.
Not like we're making our break at 19, but
It's be crazy. Is like one of these is going to be like a regular podcast, and then the next week is just going to be like we've blown up by then.
Yeah, literally. That's literally. I could see that happening.
That'd be so cool.
End of one podcast, we're like, okay, guys, I'm broke. We'll see you next week. Beginning of the next podcast, like, okay, so I'm a millionaire.
Dude, I dropped my Gucci ring. Where's it at?
Oh, shit, where'd my Rolex go? Oh, I just lost the key to my Lambo.
Instant character arc.
Oh, just gotta go hop on the private jet to my mansion in Florida.
No big ish.
Just meeting with the Lakers to shoot a doc.
Yeah, doing
Apple's Super Bowl commercial next year.
Yeah.
Already talking about it with them.
Yeah. I mean, got Leo on the line.
Yeah, I got Leo on the line.
Quinn's coming over, so
I actually have Posty's number in my phone. We're actually smoking later today. Yeah.
So we got Jamie Foxx on the show with us. What's up, boys? No, he sounds.
What's up, Jerry Seinfeld?
What are you doing? It's a podcast.
It's a podcast. Yeah. Well, I feel like that's totally possible. We're too optimistic. We're too damn optimistic.
But I love it.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
I'm Cole James Anderson.
I'm Jack Unruh.
Thank you so much for listening to the small YouTube channel. So you heard us earlier. You know where to check us out.
Yep.
Thank you so much for listening for 10 episodes. Again, if you want to get a small YouTube channels talk shirt, podcast, or fucking shit, shirt, sweatshirt, crew neck, long sleeve shirt, available in women's and men's, and I believe up to 3XL. You can check it out. Check out our Teespring. Use the code small10. You get 10% off. And go to teespring.com/AVOG merch if you want some of that OG.
I don't know why
merch.
you wouldn't.
Right, exactly. Pass the money his way.
Yeah.
Give him some cash.
Yeah.
He's a broke college student.
Broke.
Until we make it, this kid's gonna be broke.
We're always just,
living off of ramen.
Yeah, I mean, last week I ate the food off the bottom of a dumpster. Desperate.
I hope not.
So give us money now.
Give us money now, please. You go to anchor.fm/SSYTCT/support. You can support the podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed this ad-free podcast.
You're welcome.
Season 2 is gonna be with video for the podcast. So look forward to that.
Sick.
10 more episodes, and then we're jumping to video for
Right
YouTube.
on.
Thank you guys so much for listening. We are making money moves.
Let's go, baby.
We'll see you in the next episode.
Peace.
Thank you for listening to Small YouTube Channels Talk Podcast with Cole James Anderson and Jack Unruh. And don't forget, new episodes every Friday.